Hi everyone, this is Robin, and today I had the privilege of having an interview with Claudia July, who is one of our recent Peer Fast and Listen course member graduates. And she's going to share with us what it has been like for her to go from eating a pretty heavily carbohydrate, fast food sort of diet to jumping into the Pure Fast and Listen program and how that's been and what the transformation's been like. This is going to be an audio presentation, so feel free to sit back and just relax, maybe have a cup of tea, or carry on doing things around the house and just listening. There won't be much to be seen on the screen. So I hope you find this informative and helpful, and feel free to comment or add any questions or insights that you want to add to this. Thanks. We're going to just jump right in now. What was going on with you when the opportunity arose? When you got the opportunity to take the course, what was kind of happening, and did you feel hopeless at that point? And also, why did you say yes?
Well, it's very interesting. I think that there's personally, I definitely am the type of person that I obviously, who doesn't like to have success, and I think I've done really well in other areas in my life. And so when facing the reality of knowing that I'm not eating healthy and I'm overweight and I haven't been able to actually overcome it, it becomes like you kind of just block that area in your life because some other ones are going right and well. So it's like one of those things that internally you need help, you know that you're not doing okay, you know that it's not taking you like definitely I think that you have to take into consideration all areas of your life. So I think I was just blocking and pretty much in denial, like not even like it's funny because like even the mirrors in my house, it's just my face. And once you put makeup and everything and get your hair done, you look so pretty.
Yeah, you could just not look at
you
them. You can
just
train
want to
yourself.
forget,
Yeah.
that your body.
It's like
And that's where I was. And it's interesting because obviously your body is talking to you and crying out for help. Like I was feeling tired, and of course, I do a lot. I'm a single mom. I do full-time work and I do ministry and I have to take care of the house. But like every time it was just like, okay, once I'm done, all I want to do is just go to sleep and just be there and not being active or anything. And it does affect you also in the way you feel. So I'm not going to say I was depressed, but there was a certain something inside of me feeling like, ugh. But like I said, I was in denial. I didn't want to address the issue, I think. I'm very grateful because I think that sometimes even if you don't want to go ahead and make the first move, so to speak, towards being I'm so grateful that I was able to connect with you. And once you start explaining everything, I think the first thing that triggered my reality, so to speak, was your question. You were telling me about your program, and then you asked me, how's your relationship with food? And at that moment, I knew that was something that I've been just avoiding and that I needed to address. But I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. My mind didn't want to do it. It was like, no, say no, run for your life, don't do this. But my body was like, yes, please do it. Let's do this for me. I need this so desperately. So I think that I'm grateful, and I'm still in the process. I'm not gonna lie. I think that if anything, the course and then the training and everything is just giving me the tools and preparing me. I'm still with this battle, obviously. Like what took me 42 years is not going to take me only 6 weeks to completely change. But I think once you start shifting, even if you're still far away, you're going in a different direction. And as long as you keep walking, you will eventually get there. And I think that's that's what really makes a difference for me.
And now you have the tools. And what I heard you say in the beginning of this question was something about the denial, and then you said something like "ich." You said you used that expression "ich," and I think, see, that is so, it's subtle, but that was sort of a belief you had about yourself, and not only is it your relationship with food, but it's in relationship with how you feel about yourself. So that
Absolutely.
even though that there were these areas in your life where you're really successful, this little thorn in your side of this ugh is that statement is a reflection of maybe how you feel about your body, your looks, your what you could be and you're not. It's a subtle but powerful message that is the opposite of loving the body you have. So it's like and how you put it about looking at yourself in the mirror sort of like from the head up. It's sort of like forgetting that you're kind of carrying around the body from the neck down that goes with the head up, and so it was
Mhm.
sort of what I hear is this divide that was in you, the successful part of you and
Right.
this part of you that sabotaged yourself, or the part from the head up versus the part that's the head down, or the part of you that says yes, 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 and the part of you that says run for your life,
Yeah.
so this is the kind of stuff that I feel what makes this program different is that, yes, we could just merely show you how to intermittent fast, or we could just show you how to use pure food, but and there's many other programs out there where you definitely can lose weight by counting calories or eating certain foods, but the bottom line is, are you healing that split, that divide that's in there, that's always going to come back and bite you in the rear because there's a sort of at war with yourself, and that at war with the self creates this discord and this unhappiness, and then that just fuels eating. So then there you go, you're on that treadmill back again.
Yeah.
So have those pieces been have you been putting those kind of pieces to the puzzle together?
Yeah, I think that you mentioned something. There's 525,600 diets out there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you I've tried everything because, like I said, I was like, I'm okay, I'm in denial. But I've tried some in the past. Um, some of them including fasting and everything, and I did really good. Like 3 years ago, I lost 40 pounds, and obviously it was really good. And I took really good pictures back then. I'm 40 pounds off. But then, if you don't deal with the deeper issues, then that comes back. And so gradually and eventually, like whatever it is that I did during those 40 days was not consistent. It was not a change of lifestyle. It was just like, I'm going to go crazy for 40 days. And then somehow you feel or you think, we're very naive in the way we process something times because it's like, okay, it's like I'm going to continue doing what I was doing before, and I'm just going to keep the 40 pounds off. It's like, it's so illogical, but yet we we're believing this because we're walking that way, and obviously the result was not that way. Within a couple of months, those 40 pounds came back, and then it was so painful to be back there that I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to forget about this. So I think that area, when you look at a very I think like when you cannot just take the physical aspect of it, and that's the part that actually takes me to, I don't know if we're in the second question yet, but being able to dig deeper and find like the roots of why is it that you're doing certain things, or why is it that you feel certain ways, or like where exactly it is, where
Hmm.
I think we're spiritual and mind, and we cannot just say, okay, my body has absolutely nothing to do with my emotions, or the other way around. So I think that the breakthrough for me was having, first of all, allowing the time,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that we tend to be, especially when you're a single mom and everything, you feel like you just have to constantly be not on survival mode, but like we're in the jungle, we need to survive, and I need to be like doing, and rarely allowing the time to really stop and make all these really important questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the breakthrough for me, is just allowing the time, even though I didn't allow enough time, but I'm trying to, like, now it's part of like my priorities now, so
Mm-hmm.
just shifting certain priorities definitely, allows you to have that time to sit down and just think. And um
So Claudia, if you and I had been able to work more on a one-on-one basis, and obviously in this trial course that wasn't the setup exactly. So, um, but what I listened to and hear you saying, just the words allowing the time. So that's a deep rabbit hole into um, giving yourself permission to be valuing yourself, and it's
correct.
very typical in our culture that we, as moms and single moms, I was a single mom once, and I know how that is. It's like everybody else's needs are top priority, and then if you keep following that and unpeel that next layer, it's about how much do you value yourself. And then it goes back to that thing that I was talking about, that subtle sabotager that
Hmm.
is that bit that's going, ugh, these underlying judgments of the self and the self-loathing that are so subtle but so potent, that has with it an energy and a belief that you're not worth it, or you're not worthy, or you're not valuable, or it's subtle. Are you track? Does this make sense?
Absolutely. And I think that another thing is, like, while I stopped, I actually, when you take the intuitive part, like, I don't know if I know it's not gonna sound crazy for you, but so having conversations with my body, right? So it's like I'm saying, well, I love myself. Like, of course I love myself, and yes, like I'm saying all these things, and my body is like, okay, then why are you doing this? Why are you doing? It was a very honest conversation that was very confrontational, and I'm not gonna lie, it was painful but necessary. And so it's like I'm still in that process. I'm not gonna say, oh, I've arrived, and in 6 weeks I'm okay. No,
Mm-mm.
but I'm aware, and that awareness, I think, is what's has no price, because I could have continued for another 20 years and then end up with God knows what. Like, I think that I'm 42. I'm healthy, thank God. I think that's a miracle because obviously I haven't been given the nutrition that my body needs, but I don't have any issues at all with health, except for obviously the overweight. But it's not like I have diabetes or I have any other thing. So my thinking right now is like, wow, I've been given this opportunity right in time. I think it's perfect timing.
Oh,
And
that's
um,
so
and so just
great.
the awareness, I think, it's what is priceless.
And Claudia, exactly. There's no way that the habits and things that you've done for 42 years is going to get corrected in 6 weeks. No way. And also just we don't want people to be losing weight any faster than 2 pounds a week, really, for it to be healthy, and to be
Mhm.
long term. So, and there's a and that thing about what you were saying about talking to myself, that's so fantastic, and that's exactly right, and that's what we teach is really having that inner dialogue. And really it comes down to old beliefs that go way back. and that's why we ask all those questions in the beginning and have you do all that journaling so that you can get in touch with what your early beliefs are. And so, for some people, it's just simply looking at their family dynamics and structure and what was it to get around the dinner table, and what were your beliefs about food within your family, and what did your parents model to you around food and eating. And it can be many things. Or how did you use food to numb out, or when you were bored, or what, a lot of different things. But with coaching, a lot of times, what my role, especially with my private clients, is to heal that split between the young child's beliefs around itself and its worth and value and body image with the current adult and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of at a little tug of war, or the beliefs haven't been updated. It's kind of like an outmoded computer, and so it's like reprogramming and re-understanding. And that's why we spend so much time in the course educating people about, current facts about health and nutrition and food, so that you can have an adult perspective and an intellectual perspective to add into what the old beliefs
Yeah.
are.
And I think I've discussed this in the group, and then on the Facebook page also, is like somehow, like, that was like my, like, you work so hard, you do all these things, and you deserve to indulge in something. So just go ahead and like it. And even with my daughter, like, every time it's like, oh, you got good grades, oh my gosh, let's go to your favorite restaurant. And
Mm-hmm.
we're a culture that it's like this consuming, and we think, and obviously we're bombarded with, like, so many things with media everywhere. It's all about, like, oh, this food is so good. Like, even to social media, every time we sit in a good restaurant, the first thing everybody does is they take a picture and share the picture. So it's kind of like, it's so engraved inside of you. Like, for me, inside my head is like, okay, going to restaurants and eating all these, like really carb loaded food is like my reward.
Right.
So for me, it's like my inner 2-year-old is throwing a tantrum, because it's like, what do you mean now I can't have like a reward? So I don't can't have a reward at all, because my relationship with food was like, okay, here I am, so that you can be happy because you work so hard. And that was like my go-to moment. Or the other way around, I'm sad, okay, you know what, there's nothing that a cheesecake factory cheesecake can take away. And so on. So I think, and I said, the moment I understood that, by it's not about not eating, it's about, by changing what it is that's going to be my reward, doesn't mean um like this inner feeling of, like, okay, now on top of everything I've gone through in my life, and I'm going through on daily basis to work really hard to make sure that everything is okay, on top of that, I'm on timeout. I'm this child that is, it's like, you cannot go play outside. And it's like this punishment. So that's why the previous diets wouldn't work, because it's like, it's not fair. So I'm just waiting until somebody says, okay, time out is up, and then I can go out and play again.
Yeah.
That's how I felt, now that I analyze that, I've had the time to go deeper. So the way I feel right now, it's like, it's time to actually play and have fun. And it's actually time to be rewarded. But my body needs the reward, not in the form of like all these carbs, but all these nutritious food. So it's changing the paradigm, shifting and thinking about, wow, this was amazing. Let's take this great smoothie that has all this, and then listening, like you said, to the reaction of my body to all that good food. Even on the days that I still give in, and I just say, so for example, recently in New York, my, I was doing kind of okay until my daughter gets there and she's like, I want New York pizza. And I'm like, we're in New York, let's have pizza. And then we had this amazing pizza. And by the end, I was feeling like, I'm like, oh my God, now we want to go to the 9/11 morning. We want to do all these things and I don't have energy to do it. So now I'm listening and I'm seeing the reward is actually having that sense of wellness and feeling with energy and feeling good. Once you start overcoming certain things and you're able to say yes to certain things and no to certain things, there's like this empowerment inside of you and you're like, wow. And then you realize you're able to do way more. Like all this time, I think I read somewhere about this elephant that it's like holding a nail from a nail, but they do it since the time this elephant is a baby elephant. And at the beginning, he fights it, but he can't get off because he's a baby. And then once he grows up, it's like he could easily just pull and get off that chain and that nail. But he's just so programmed that, like he doesn't even try. So I think that's the way I felt about it. It's like, wow, I really all this time I've had the power, but I just thought I couldn't. So those are the kind of moments, like the aha moments that I've had, and that I think can start setting me up for success moving forward. And he's still, and
Claudia,
and I don't know.
are you there? It's getting kind of
For
fuzzy.
me, that's why.
Claudia, are you there?
Yeah. Yes. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, for a minute there, it was getting like you were underwater.
Oh,
Okay, now you're good.
interesting.
You're good.
Okay, so what I was saying is that it's not a destination, it's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
So since I know if I say okay, it's 20 pounds, so I go crazy for the 20 pounds, and once I lose the 20 pounds, that's it. I don't even want to look at it that way. That's why it's not about I know I've lost weight because I can feel it with the clothes, but I'm not thinking about, oh, I lost this amount and then I'm good,
Yeah.
because I know that once I arrive, my mind will tell me, okay, so now you've done a great thing, and now let's just go back to our old ways. So it's just
Yes.
knowing that it's a lifestyle, and there's still so much that I have to learn. So I
And
think that that's the other component. It's just this desire to learn more. I've been like reading a lot because obviously, once you take that knowledge, you're like, wow. And you
mm-hmm.
start realizing, what's out there and how your body operates. And so that intellectual component for me has been very helpful as well, because then I can actually, when my mind wants to be super logical and say, oh no, I can do this and it won't affect my body, like the other part can go and say, okay, remember what you read about sodas, for example. I was
Yes. Yes.
drinking sodas like crazy, and now that I'm like, wow, this is like 17 17 spoons of sugar, no thank you. Yeah, so little things like that, I think, well, they're not little. I think that's what makes it powerful, and it can set you up for a lifelong journey where you find healing not only for your body but for other areas of your life.
Fantastic. And if you stop and think about it, as kids, and I know you were raised in Guatemala, right? Is that right?
Correct. Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not so sure what the difference is in terms of the culture there, but I think it would be pretty similar in that. For example, every holiday, like when it's Easter, what do we give the kids? Chocolate bunnies. When it's Valentine's Day, what do we give everybody? Chocolate hearts.
And not
Every
only that, I mean, don't even think about holidays. Like the Hispanic culture loves through food. Like your grandma will get so upset at you if you didn't eat like these humongous amounts of food, and
exactly.
everything is really good. But obviously,
Yeah.
even though I'm not gonna lie, like over there you have a lot more access for like fresh organic vegetables and fruits, And so here, over there was easier and less expensive actually to get the veggies and fruits than to get like other things. Here is the other way around. But in general, definitely culturally, it's like everything has to do with
Tons of
tons of
foods
food,
and
and
tons of
that's the way we
sugar.
love. So
Yes,
if you go to a
yes.
place and you say, I'm not gonna eat this, it's like you're offending people. You don't want to do that. So it's like you still have to like process how to interact with others without sounding like, oh no, I'm like, I don't know, like I'm different. I'm not eating your food anymore.
Well,
That part is, has, I think, and I think that's also something that a lot of people have mentioned on the page, how to actually interact socially when you make those changes.
yes. And so I think what I'm seeing with people is the programming about this whole thing about reward and punishment. It goes so deep because from I mean, we everybody did it with us when we were kids, and now we've done it with our kids where we've set it all up to be this whole thing of, oh yes, let's go celebrate by having this pizza, or let's eat this dessert or this to celebrate. And so it's a funny mixed message because on one hand we are giving ourselves what we think is quote unquote a treat, but at the same time, it's damaging our body, our immune system. So there's this crazy split going on again, with this mixed message that we're like, oh, it's like saying I'm going to love myself while I'm hitting myself over the head with a 2x4. It's like,
Yes.
and now what's starting to happen where you are in the journey, and we all go through it, and even Jeff and I still go through it. It's a lifelong process of, you know, when we've just had company with us, and we've been out and about touring them around, and when we're out and about and we're at restaurants or we're with other people, sure, we have that glass of wine or that crusty bread or that piece of chocolate, and then every time I do something like that, I pay the price. And I'm not so much focused on, oh, I'm gained weight. Now it's more like, oh, now I'm really tired. Or, oh, now I feel like my brain is kind of foggy and fuzzy thinking. And so actually those can be opportunities. Like you just had that opportunity. Like you saw that when you ate like that in New York, you didn't even have the energy to run around and enjoy as much as you could have. And so
Hmm.
and I don't know about you, how long you've been doing this enough, but for me, when I pay the price and it's a conscious choice, like, okay, I'm going to eat this and I know I'm going to feel icky, usually what happens is I cannot wait to get back to a 2 day. I cannot wait to get back to like my broth and just make it simple. And the contrast between how I feel is what's going to be magnetically pulling me back to it.
Hmm. Correct.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So, on the next question, how is this program unlike anything else? And I think you've already addressed, some of that. Is there any other thing you want to add about how this program is different?
Okay, so this is the part that it it definitely has to do with you, because before, I think that you do a great job in connecting with people. And it's very powerful because it's no longer like I'm going to break a rule. It's like, in a way, like personally, I feel like, wow, I want to make Robin proud of me. And even the silly things, I want to get my stickers on Facebook.
Those stickers aren't they fun? I mean,
I know. We're little kids inside, I
uh-huh.
think. So it's like before I could just shut down, and it was just something that I'm just like in my mind. I said, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I don't do it, and who cares? Like nobody knows. Nobody. I haven't said anything to anybody in my circles. I haven't, like committed. There's no accountability whatsoever. And I don't feel like I'm failing anybody,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
even though I was failing myself, but
Right.
it's not like I'm conscious about that. So I didn't know you before. So it's not like we've had a relationship from before or friendship or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. But yet, and maybe our interaction hasn't been that much, But the moments that we've interacted, I can see like how you sincerely care, and the passion and the commitment that you have to make sure that people are okay. Like there's this sincere love for people saying, hey, as your coach, I love you enough to tell you, hey, are you sabotaging yourself? Like those are very like timely questions. When you're saying, hey, there's a lot of people here that are lacking, and why are you doing this to yourself? And like saying things that are hard to hear, and they're painful, and at times can feel like, ugh, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's what made the difference for me, I think, because it's no longer this impersonal thing. And then for the first time, I actually went out with my friends and family about it. So even when I'm around people, the people that love me, they want to help me out. So even for the 4th of July, like we had fun doing this like thing with fruits, and everybody in my family wants to help us, because it's not only me. Like my daughter is also overweight, and they have been worried, and they were kind of sending messages without, because obviously you don't want to hurt a 15-year-old in her self-esteem, telling her, hey, you really need to lose weight, right? So it was like, right now, like I have so many amazing people in my life that want to help me out. People are inviting me to have dinner at their house, and they're doing only like good meats with veggies and salmon and veggies, and like everyone around me, it's been like overwhelming to see the support and the love around me, making sure that we were okay, and people actually accommodating that to us. That has been like, I'm a wow at that. So it becomes, now you're accountable. Now you can just go out and get 3 pieces of pie and cake with tons of ice cream on top, because now people are looking at you and are like, wait, weren't you doing it the other way? And so I think that that's something that definitely adds so much. And like I said, on a personal level, I feel in this committed, accountability relationship, into which I know that the only motivation that you have when you're asking those tough questions and you're pushing me is because you want to make sure that I'm okay.
Exactly.
And I personally do that with in other areas to other people. So I'm like, how can I just expect all these people to change certain things if I'm not doing it for myself? So it's been a very interesting, intense process, but I think that that's where the value is.
You know what you have transformed is, what I see is you've gone from kind of the thinking that's sort of rigid and thinking in terms of permission and allowed. Those are words that sort of exemplify um, kind of that go sort of with diet thinking, and instead what you've done is you've empowered yourself, and you did it brilliantly by posting on your own personal Facebook page, hey, this is my intention, this is what I'm doing. And you yourself enlisted all this support, and you set it up so that you would be accountable, but you actually empowered yourself in the process. So what you created was people all around you who are behind you. And so you went from not giving yourself permission to, and not valuing yourself, stepping into valuing yourself and giving yourself permission, and what you got was this wonderful feedback back right at you, of people really coming alongside you. So I mean, that right there is huge, 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 fantastic, wonderful. And yes, sometimes the tough love coaching part of it is challenging for me, but I do know that when you hit those places of the owie, like ouch, that that actually becomes the fuel that will propel you to closer to your goal. So it's a fine line. Like, I have to be really careful, because in no way do I ever want to bruise anybody, but at the same time, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
committed, truly committed to seeing you truly be set free. That's the thing, is because I know there's a bondage when you're in denial, or when you're constantly on the binge and swinging yo-yo thing, that's a kind of bondage. So I know that that's not what God has for you in your life, and I know that being set free here will set you free in so many other areas of your life to do what you're really meant to be doing, and to be fueled in the way that you're meant to be fueled, so that you can really have that life and that energy.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, so one last thing. What way has this transformed your relationship with food? And I think, again, we've talked about some of this already, but is there, and not only just this question, but is there anything else you want to add into this? Because this, actually, our talk is going so well. I think I'm just going to have this be its own little, if you don't mind, if it's okay with you, I'm going to just have this be like a little teaching call for people.
Well, oh, awesome. Yeah. I think that we all want to be significant in life. We all want to have a purpose. We all want to make a difference. And making it like, by allowing myself to do this, I think I also have a way to empower others and then duplicate the experience. And I think that has been like the last thing that I wanted to add, because this is something that like I'm not sure over there, but I know that here in America, like being overweight and being addicted to food, it has become a huge issue, and there's so many people that are sick because of it. And I've been watching the movies and documentaries and everything, and it's like, wow. So it's just giving me like a brand new like inspiration
Mm-hmm.
to move forward with this. And so I look at it, it's like, okay, I'm not doing just this just for myself and for my daughter. I'm doing this so that I can help many, like a lot of people as well. Um, so I think that once you start putting all those components, like you're definitely gonna change your relationship with food. Um, I'm a Christian. I believe that God definitely gave us this body and we have to take care of it. And I want to honor God by honoring the body that He gave me. And on the same token, I want to make sure that I understand that when I'm feeling lonely, when I'm feeling sad, I have to run to Him. I have to run to His Word and not run to food. Like there's nothing that a piece of pie can do for me, really, other than
Yeah,
putting
it
all those
becomes
calories inside.
idolatry, really, doesn't it? You know?
It is. It is definitely, absolutely. So shifting everything into, you know what, like right now, what I really need is to know what He thinks, and I think that it has strengthened my identity. Like I think there was this broken piece in my identity of who I am. And I always tell, like I work with my daughter is a teenager, so I try to speak words of life into all these teenagers. And when we're talking about valuing themselves and how they behave with boys and everything, I said, you're a princess, so you have to behave accordingly, right? Because you are the daughter of the Most High King. So now I'm talking to myself and I'm thinking, you have to behave accordingly. You have to love the body that God gave you, because I believe that there's just so much that I want to do in this life, and I don't want to be 60 and with all these illnesses and not being able to do everything that I'm destined to do. So it goes deeper into this like big picture. I think, like before it was like I really want this right now, and I'm gonna do it right now, not thinking about tomorrow or 5 years or 10 years. Right now, I think my vision is just big. And so when I look at that piece of pie, it's not the piece of pie, but like how does it fit into like my vision for the future? And
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't have place, it's easier for me. Like the shifting in my mind has empowered me, and I have been able to see that I have the power to actually be well. I think that the other thing is if you remember that parable when Jesus asked, "Do you want to get well?" I think I was confronted with that word because most of the time I'm like, of course he wants to get well. Why would you even ask him that?
Mm-hmm.
He's been crippled all his like 40 years, whatever, and you're asking him like, what kind of question is that? And I realized that it's not until we want to get well that we can be well. Like, we can have everything around us, but it's that moment when you say, like, I think you've said it in other words, saying, how bad do you want this? Like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you really want this for your life? So I think I thought I wanted it, but I wasn't showing it in my actions. And right now I wanted a little bit more, and I'm working and struggling still, but it's showing a little bit more. And I'm excited to see, how the journey will unfold and how it will affect not only me and my daughter, but like I want to make sure she learns so that when she has her kids, she's gonna teach them something different of what I was taught and what I taught her these 15 years of her life.
Exactly. And you bring up a really good point, which is, and I don't know, and I'd like to hear from you if this is emphasized enough. And I feel like I could really keep emphasizing this, that because, we've been talking about these splits inside, and the part that does and the part that doesn't. And I love that you brought up this whole part about like the parable of asking, do you really want to get well? Because it comes down to integrity with yourself, So is our words matching our actions, and that's our formula in our course, which is C plus A equals T, which is choice plus action equals transformation. And my prerequisite for anybody I coach is you have to really, really, really want this. Because when we don't walk in integrity, we are damaging ourselves in more ways than we can see outwardly, and so, like, for example, I have a friend and she has chronic fatigue. And so I was watching how much she was eating sugar. And I was saying to her, hey, if you eliminate the sugar, you're really going to help that situation that has kept you in bondage here. And she said, well, you know what? I'm kind of this age now, and I don't really want to change what I'm doing. I like eating like this. And so it's sort of like she's trading off her pleasure with her addiction to sugar, yet every day she lives with, low energy and all these health issues. But it's a choice she's making. And, the bottom line is she doesn't really, really want to give up her addiction. And she doesn't really, really want the benefits that she can get on the other side, and so people might say they want that, but when it comes down, it takes, choice, and it takes action. It takes all
And
that.
I think with any other addiction, at the end of the day, it's a mirage, right? Because like an addiction will offer you like, oh, this is the best thing, and you're gonna feel so good. And the reality is that you don't, but you still fall into the lie of you're gonna feel really good.
Right, and
It's very
yes,
interesting how we
that's
operate.
why
So
we want to keep
the
encouraging.
attitude and then the way you look at things can totally completely transform everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I said, I haven't been able to be 100%, but I feel happy of the baby steps that may look like baby steps. Well, like I said, that if anything right now, I think I'm just turning around, changing my direction. Like that's what these 6 weeks have been about, changing
Mm-hmm.
my direction. So I'm still far away, maybe, but I'm turning. So once I start walking, I'm walking in a completely opposite direction.
That's
So that's
fantastic.
the best way I can describe
That's fantastic.
the
And you
six
have,
weeks.
you know what, it's like you have a whole education. And this is why we want to encourage people to take the course as many times as you want for free. It's always going to be up there for you. And then also to encourage you to keep posting your creative recipes that you're making. And as you can, if you look on our blog posts, you'll see like all these intuitive recipes I'm constantly making and putting up there. And this is 19 years now of developing, creative recipe making. And it's kind of like my form of art and therapy now. And like, then, like, for example, somebody in the course, she was she hated to cook, and she thought of it like you did, like a chore. And her whole thing was, let me get the packaged food from Trader Joe's and let me just microwave it so I have the least amount of time in the kitchen possible. And her big miracle is that she now loves to cook, and the recipes hopefully are simple enough, and they're not, with difficult ingredients to purchase. They're easily found, and as you get more time and confidence, you're going to start creating your own things, and so you know that you can always come back and post things, and you can keep. So we've got that new Facebook page where you can. It's called the Connection page. So it's anyone who's gone through the program, and you can kind of keep that community alive and share with one another. Your new recipes or your new ahas. I mean, we really do want this to be a lifestyle, continual growth. And it is for us too. It's not like we've arrived. We're constantly, researching, learning, coming up with new recipes, coming up with new ways to just keep living this healthy lifestyle. So you're forever part of that now. And
yay!